Thursday Thoughts here on SDH, and we got a lot of stuff to get into in the first half hour so we can get to our guests starting in the second half hour. Daniel Sperry, who is the big soccer writer for the Kansas City Star. He's going to join us coming up at the bottom of the hour. We're going to talk about Peter Vermes, the fallout, the vibe, what's going on in Kansas City. And then hour number 2 is the Power Hour, as it always is. Niko is going to join us at 10:30, and our buddy Nino Torres is going to join us and go fully loaded coming up at 10 o'clock, and I imagine there's going to be a lot of Libertadores talk. There's going to be a lot of the things that are going on here when it comes to, of course. So try and it's like, look, all I really want, when I hit a button, I want the devices to link. That's all I want. It's like there. I'm linking devices because traditionally when I have a conversation with Nino, it is through LinkedIn. And I learned that the hard way, and I learned that a long time ago. So sending the link to Nino, and so this way, what are we talking about this AM? All right. So now Nino's in. He'll come up 10 o'clock. Once again, Nico's going to join us at 10:30. So I figure we'll go ahead and start with a little bit of what they refer to as this. So it broke in the last 40 minutes or so. It looks like the United States is going to be getting a 2031 Women's World Cup, and there is a clear path, as it was said this morning at the incredibly important, majorly satisfactory General Assembly by the head of FIFA, Gianni Infantino. Clear path for England and their bid to happen in 2035. So it was a UEFA Congress in Belgrade. Joint bid from England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland was the only valid bid of interest for 2035 after the deadline passed. U.S. also putting forward the only bid for the 31 edition. So Infantino saith, quote, as part of the bidding process, we've received one bid for 31, valid bid, I should add, for 35. 31 bid is from U.S., potentially some other CONCACAF members together. So potentially other CONCACAF members together. So right now, don't know what the layout is, but the U.S. is part of it. I think The Athletic is saying that it is a joint bid with U.S. and Mexico. But according to Gianni Infantino this morning, it is potentially other CONCACAF members. And so 36 bid from Europe, home nations. So the path of Women's World Cup taking place 31 and 35. Some great countries and some great nations to boost even more the women's football movement. UK has never hosted a Women's World Cup, hosted the Euro back in 22, winning the tournament on home soil. Men's team last hosted the World Cup in 1966. 2035 bid could pave the way for the men's team to host a subsequent edition. So that is where things are. 2031 looks like it's the U.S. and potentially other CONCACAF members. 2035, one bid, valid bid for the UK bid, England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. So that is the larger element from what went down there. Will is in early this morning, and it's supposed to continue to be crazy meteorologically. As always, hope everyone was safe last night. I was up. I admit that when it comes to severe weather, I'm always looking at a lot of stations, and there was one particular YouTube channel that basically did a 4-box, and it rotated the markets, and so pretty much everything from St. Louis to Dayton, Ohio, and Memphis and Southeast and up. I was watching a lot of that last night. I was watching a lot of Nashville television, just basically hoping everybody's okay. It is not the end of it. It is not the end of it. Today in the it's not upper, it's the upper Southeast, if you want to call it that. The Arklatex area, it's supposed to be pretty bad there. It's supposed to be bad again in Tennessee. So obviously just making sure that everybody's going to be okay. and just look out for one another and be there for one another over the next couple of days. It's supposed to be pretty rough in some sections here in the Southeast and in the upper Midwest and up in the Rust Belt. So obviously, yes, morning Lokeville, morning Will, and hope that you are all safe this morning as we continue to roll it through. All right, so later today, here on the network, we're going to be in two places at once. High school soccer presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. It is going to be Jason and Maddie and Sophia. They're going to be at Dutchtown and Trinity Christian. I will be up in Decula for Hebron Christian hosting Toombs County on spring break. So one of those is going to be on Soccer Down Here and .mixler.com. The other is going to be on SDH2. Don't know the layout yet. Set your notifications for that layout there. Friday, we do have our matches. It is going to be St. Pius at Marist, and it's going to be at Stadler Field on the campus of the Marist School. So we're going to be there for those matches. Thanks to everybody there at Marist and St. Pius for letting us come and hang out there. We are efforting matches Monday and Tuesday and Friday of next week to go in and around the Philadelphia Union Atlanta United 2 match that is Thursday. So we're trying to catch up with coaches and figure out what we can do next week and some big matchups there. And when we have those locked down, we will let you know there as well. But once again, midweek next week, Philadelphia Union Atlanta United 2. That is in Chester, and we should have that one on the network Sunday. It's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. So Thursday is Philadelphia Union 2, Atlanta United 2, and that gets everybody ready for New England. All right, so that is that particular section of the programming. So high school programming, 5:30 and 7:30, ones at 6 and 8. Those are tonight. SoccerDownHere.mixler.com, Soccer Down Here, and the number 2.mixler.com. Just don't know quite where they are. Or you can go to SoccerDownHere.net, and you can go to our big website, hit the listen tab, and then when a network is live, you'll see like a flashing icon, and then you hit that icon, and that's where the matches are. So you can do it. SoccerDownHere.net, go to the listen tab, download the Mixler app, and you can do it that way and go to Soccer Down Here and Soccer Down Here 2, and you can get notifications through your email set up for when things do go down. So you can sit there and go, oh, they got a live event, and you click on it, and there you go. Once again, thanks to our friends, obviously, also at the Fired Up Network and 12 Ounce Sports for carrying us as we go here on a very, very busy Thursday morning. Quick promos. Let me get those out of the way before we can talk about CONCACAF and Open Cup and all the chaos that happened there. Daniel Sperry, Kansas City Star, coming up in about 15 minutes. Let's see. Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. I think I might have figured it out, at least in one element. So there's your QR code for Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. You hit that QR code, go in through there. Then you can start your day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it, youth games, youth initiatives, Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay. Other places that you can do things. All right. You can go to Olive & York and get the first ever SDH jersey. Get the first ever SDH jersey, and you help out our Soccer for Good campaign here in 2025. Kaiser Permanente, couldn't do it without them. Beyond Goals Mentoring, Soccer for Good, all over the place. You can get those at Olive & York and oliveandyork.com. Don't forget, Grady Baby Co. You can get the Soccer's Just Better in Atlanta gear, and it is sweatshirt, T-shirt. It is red or black, gold embossed lettering. Soccer's Just Better in Atlanta. Proceeds go and help out middle school programs in the Atlanta public school system and their growth of soccer as well. Marshall Island Soccer Federation, I have to send another scarf, I think, to the Northeast. Like I said, I got about 10 left here on the other side of the window, or on the other side of the door. That's what this is. This is a door. It's a solid object that does not have glass. So if you want to help out the Marshall Islands, please do. If you buy gear, you're getting it from their store in England. If you buy a scarf, it comes from me here on the other side of this door. Door is the word we're looking for. So if you want to help out, if you have not, if you want to pick up scarves and pick them up for other folks, you can do that. Once again, Marshall Island Soccer Federation. You buy the gear, it comes from England. Buy the scarf, it comes from us. It comes from me. It comes from me when you place your order. And so the scarf will get there sooner than the other gear because it's on this side of the Atlantic. I'm trying to think of the Fanaticos program. What do you do for $10 a year? What do you do for $10 a year? Well, for $10 a year, you can be a part of the Fanaticos program at SDH. And with that, what you get is a bunch of discounts to a lot of really cool joints. Favorite breweries, pubs, soccer retail stores like Lloyd Soccer Shop on select Atlanta United gear. You get a discount if you're a Fanatico. Hotels, comedy theaters, and much, much more, including a resort in Costa Rica. I'm not kidding. So if you wanted to go see Alajuelense, Saprissa, or Herediano, stay in a resort down in Costa Rica, you could do that. Or if you just want to go stay in Costa Rica, you could do that. If you're a Fanatico and you go to this particular place, you get a discount. That's the kind of stuff you get with being a Fanatico. You can go, you get exclusive access to our group on the Chant app. You can stay better connected to all we do on SDH. It's group.chant.fan. Let me see if I can do this here without screwing this up. Group.chant. I need to save this. Fan/soccer down here /join. Let me see if I got it right. I think I did. Group.chant.fan/soccer down here /join. And you can become a Fanatico. $10 a year, discounts all over the place. A lot of breweries here in the upper half of the state of Georgia and up toward the Athens area. But yeah, Chateau Arenal in Costa Rica. You can actually get a discount there. So you can do that. So that's your rundown of all the things that you can do and be a part of our Soccer for Good campaign and continue to roll from there. So, all right. Now, last night, a couple of different things. I guess we'll start late night for those of you who might not have had the opportunity to watch it. I don't know if you saw, first and foremost, the social media account for one of the clubs that was active in the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza yesterday. Vancouver and Pumas had a 1-1 draw. Brian White scored in the 71st, and then Coco Carrasquilla scored in the 87th. So leg 1-1-1. Vancouver and Pumas, they held serve. It's going to be a tall order going to Pumas, but Vancouver's done it on the road before. So you had the other matchup later than late. And I don't know if you saw, it was LAFC and Messi and Friends. And I don't know if you saw, and I guess this really is opening kickoff. I don't know if you saw the social media account for Messi and Friends yesterday. They decided that what they wanted to do was place a Messi and Friends jersey, the front, the one with the ship chain. They wanted to place, and they went ahead and did it. They placed a Messi and Friends pink jersey on the Kobe Bryant statue. They thought that they should do that. If you thought that you weren't messing with any kind of juju, karma, or luck one way or the other, you come into town, you shake your hands, you do your business, you turn around and leave. But Messi and Friends on their social media decided that they wanted to hang a jersey on the Kobe Bryant statue. You want to bring in cheap heat? You've brought in cheap heat in a biblical manner. You're going to hang a jersey on the Kobe Bryant statue. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. You don't step on Superman's cape. You did that yesterday in Los Angeles. You lose 1-0. Nathan Ordaz scored in the 57th minute. So LAFC in the first leg of the quarters has a 1-0 advantage. No road goals. 1-0 win, and so now they get to go to the erector set for leg number 2 in the quarters. So you had that happen yesterday. So Vancouver Pumas 1-1 draw, first leg of the quarters. LAFC leg up in the quarters with a 1-0 win. Now last night, Open Cup, and I'm going to go through a lot of the other scores, but I'm going to build up to one of the games. Bet you can't guess which one. I know it's not because of the red card that was coming from the player from off the field in one of the other matches. Loudon doubled Virginia Dream 4-2. Portland Hearts of Pine advanced to P-Hop beat Hartford Athletic in Lewiston, Maine last night, 4-2 in penalties. So Portland Hearts of Pine advanced. One Knox put 3 on Greenville in Furman. Zaracostas, Doyle, and DNA. It was 2-0, and then Greenville scored with Ropapa Mensah in the 55th to make it 2-1. Then they scored at 90 plus 5. Game finished 10-10, by the way. So One Knox advanced. Westchester hung on against Pan-Cyprian Freedoms. I know what Kefsey was watching early on. So it ended up with 3 goals on the board for Westchester out of the blocks, and then New York Pan-Cyprian Freedom scored in the 54th and 90+1. Couldn't quite get it to the equalizer at Mount Vernon, so Westchester advanced. FC Naples shut out Little Rock Rangers 3-0. FC Tulsa beat Forward Madison at Breeze Stevens 3-1. Union Omaha beat Des Moines Menace 2-1. Sasha Kleshtin gets a red with 21 to go. And Tacoma Defiance Lake beat Spokane Velocity 2-1. El Paso Locomotive, no problem with Ventura County 3-0. The draw for the next round, round 3, happens at 1 o'clock this afternoon, and it's going to be on the Golazo Network. So for anybody that wants to watch, you got Paramount Plus, you got Golazo, you've got, I think, Tubi is where you can watch. So the draw comes out at 1 o'clock this afternoon with all the survivors from this go-round, and then you end up with the new round for round 3. I'm building up to a purpose. Chattanooga FC and Chattanooga Red Wolves. Last night, Omar Hernandez scored in the 7th minute to make it 1-0 Red Wolves. Daniel Mangarov scored to tie it at 1. They go to pens. Red Wolves advanced 5-4. Even after they thought on the initial in round 4 with an Ethan Dudley penalty kick that was saved, the keeper was apparently off his line, and if he was, it was very, very close. It's one of those things that you've got to just kind of sit there and go frame by frame and try and rewind the tape. But Ethan Dudley's penalty in the 4th, saved, retaken, made, got to the 5th, and then Chattanooga advanced 5-4 in PKs. Hot crowd last night. No real surprise for anyone in this footprint. Just north of 12,000 folks showed up at Fort Finley. They had sold 6,000 going into this week. 12,161, I think, was the number. I think it was the 4th highest attendance figure. For tournament's sake, you had an ish ton of yellows. You had Sarsar, Ibarra, Garvanyan, Minjay Kwok on a hard tackle late, Mangarov, Callum Watson, and Jakupovic. Should have gotten a yellow, but he didn't. With all of his shenanigans that he was playing. For anybody that listened to the matchup with Chattanooga FC and Atlanta United 2, did the same thing in PKs 4 days ago now. He's sitting there, it's like, it's not on his line. He's got to do this. He's got to do this, all that kind of stuff. So Mangarov missed for Chattanooga FC. He was saved off the top. Then the other 4 made. But in the fifth, Owen Green scored for Red Wolves 5-4 in pens. 9 yellow cards in the match. 4 for Chattanooga FC, 5 for Red Wolves. Hot crowd, no real surprise. 90-minute draw, by the way, was a plus 230. Under 2.5, a minus 105. Possession, about 2/3 to Chattanooga FC. 7 shots on goal. 25 shot attempts total, both teams. 13 yellow cards. My mistake, and I think a lot of that happened in the pushing and shoving and the fracas. So 13 yellow cards issued last night. Once again, no real surprise, but hot crowd, what we expected. And I love in the I love in the stat recap over at the 4-letter, where you're looking at like last 5 matches and so on. Head-to-head record. No previous meetings between these two sides. It's because they hate each other. They hate each other. And that was, for Finley Stadium to host 12-161 and to open up the visitor side, the far side, the side away from the press box, where the Red Wolves fans ended up on the far side. Chattanooga FC, you had the berm filled, you had the flags up, and after the match was over, I don't know how long everybody I don't know how long everybody stayed. If you were watching Chattanooga FC and Red Wolves last night, I don't know how long you stayed during the recap of the action while the feed was still up. But Red Wolves fans took a flag and planted it at the center of Fort Finley in the center circle. Security was nowhere to be found. I don't know where the Yellow Jackets were. I don't know if they were trying to keep folks from coming onto the field. I don't know. It looked like a situation from what people were looking at on the YouTubes that there weren't a whole lot of Yellow Jackets there, or if they were hidden very well and they were in strategic locations. But and when the match was over, you have someone with a Red Wolves flag run to the center circle and plant it. And that wasn't the only one. That was not the only flag that got planted. You had multiple flags planted in a matchup that was crazy last night. Absolutely crazy. But anyway, you ended up with that last night. Absolute craziness. Once again, those of us that know what Chattanooga FC and Red Wolves, all of the history and the depth of this two teams, one city. So Chattanooga is red after what happened last night. Now, the other element in the room, what happened last night in Open Cup, Union Omaha knocking off Des Moines Menace. And we'd mentioned that Sasha Kleshchen, with 21 minutes to go, got a red from the bench. And it is, reports vary as to what was going on. So I'm going to have to look at it, but it was over on the far side of the field. And it had to do with a coming together of a Union Omaha player and a bench player for Des Moines Menace. And there might have been some contact between the Union Omaha player and Kleshchen. No cards given at the time. And so then that's what it exists. The video does exist. So we'll see what went down. But anyway, you ended up with the Des Moines Menace getting bounced, and it was a very, very busy night in Open Cup. So the times for tonight's action: Toombs and Hebron Christian 5:30, 7:30, Dutchtown Trinity Christian 6 and 8. So we'll see what it looks like. But apparently Sasha was standing up for a teammate, from what I understand, and we'll have to look at it and get down to it. But the video does exist, and so we have to kind of analyze it, and we might have to zapruder what was going on. But Des Moines Menace made it to the second round, lost to Los Bujos, the Murder Owls, and the activity in the Open Cup we'll know more coming up at 1 o'clock Eastern time when the matchups for round 3 are announced once again on Golasso Network. So that was fun. It was crazy. We anticipated nothing else. And so CONCACAF Champions Cup did not disappoint, especially from the Juju perspective. Open Cup did not disappoint from the chaos perspective. And we'll get into Libertadores and all the other things coming up in just a little bit. Okay. What we wanted to do, we wanted to find out what in the wide world of sports is going on in Kansas City. And to do that, we go to one of our oracles, our main Kansas City oracle, and we get to catch up with Daniel Sperry and find out what in the heck is going on there now with a legend now mutually parting ways with the organization. So we bring Daniel in. Daniel Sperry, what up?
How are we doing, man?
You tell me. You're the busy one. Yeah,
I'm the busy one. It's been a crazy week. It's been a crazy week. I tell you that.
How crazy is it?
How crazy is it? Yeah, it's one of those. It's kind of funny. I had made some jokes at some point when the things were going bad, like what comes first, our newborn or a sporting win.
Mazel tov.
And the newborn has won. So that she came early, so she kind of cheated a little bit. But yeah, man, it's been a crazy week here in Kansas City. One for me personally, two. She decided to come on the day that Sporting parted ways with their longest tenured manager ever. So it's been, like I said, it's been a wild week here. But yeah, man, things on the soccer side in Kansas City have been interesting to start this year. And I think there was a lot of hope and optimism, especially with some of the new signings at the beginning of the year. But as the results came, the pressure, or as the results didn't come, pressure ramped up, right? And um, I think the dam finally broke in that regard, because 23 was mainly saved by a pretty dramatic and unrealistic and unsustainable turnaround that was really fun to watch, but probably wasn't going to happen again. Um, and that's sandwiched by 22 and 24, which were pretty disappointing. And to start out like this, it's a recipe for what you get.
I know that over the last couple of years, we've been kind of looking at sporting, and it's like, okay, bad start. They make some summer transfer window, pickups, and then here they come. Here comes Zombie Sporting out of Lane 8, and they make it into the playoffs, and they make a run. It's like something happens, and you're behind the 8 ball, the proverbial 8 ball, and then something happens, and you make the race in, and then everything goes crazy. And it just seemed like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And what was the patience level of the fans the last couple of years, where you had all of these waves and ebbs and flows, and yes, things would finish, but you'd have to put up with that rough start, and then you make that race to get in. What was the vibe from the fans the last couple of years, taking this season apart for a second question, but what was the vibe with all of the ups and downs coming into this year?
Yeah, after 21, I think they were probably a correct handball decision away from finishing top spot in the West, and maybe not having to play an RSL who knocked them out of the playoffs. Wouldn't have been in the playoffs if all that stuff had gone correct. So that was a funky one. And then you have the Alan Polito injury, and Gotti Kinda is injured, and they think he might be out, for just a little bit, and then it turns out to be the whole season, and they never bring anybody in. 23, they finally get those guys back healthy, and things are rolling. But there's that stretch after 22, people kind of understood and excused the injuries, and they were like, it was the feeling of like, I don't think we're ready to move on from Peter yet. But there was still some like, look, if things don't go well, we got to start asking questions, kind of a vibe from, I think, the fan base. And then those first 10 games happened in 2023 where they didn't pick up a win. And there was, three draws over 10 games was all they had accrued. 3 draws, 3 goals through 10 games. And the fans were starting to get restless. I mean, you were hearing, Verme's out chants. People were starting to bring signs and stuff like that. And they made the miraculous recover. It led to probably one of the coolest and most electric moments I felt at Children's Mercy Park. I wasn't here for any of the MLS Cup stuff, but I was here for the Open Cup final in 2017, and that was really cool. But I think that win over St. Louis in the playoffs, especially the home win, the loud noise that came from that goal is it's still goosebumps. It was one of the loudest moments I've heard at that stadium, if not the loudest. And the reaction to the goal that kind of opened the dam. So you have this like really high moment here in 2023, and they lose Gotti Kinda going into 2024, and they never replace him. And so there's a lot of injuries. The team's getting a little bit older, and some things just weren't quite clicking at all last year. And they kind of piecemealed it and had a decent summer run through the Open Cup. But once they lost the Open Cup final, they really didn't win another game from there on. And it was very downtrodden. And I think fans really were kind of like, okay, like, we understand you're telling us it's a rebuild. They've told them, it's going to take 3 windows to rebuild this team. Well, that's a really long time in soccer. And so I think my question personally was whether or not they were the result, because to me, the result lineup was there for when you dismiss a manager. In a lot of other scenarios and a lot of other places, I think he doesn't even start this year. And so it was one of those like, okay, how long is the leash and what does it? even though they've said we're going to allow Peter to rebuild. We've committed to this. So is 6 games when they finally cut bait with a project that, if the project is how long they say it is, it's kind of in its infancy. And so that was my whole question in this. But I also think there's a point too where if you're the whole job here is to win. Welcome to professional sports. And if you're not getting wins, and the winless run extends so far back into 2024 that it does, then I think that's kind of how we got here.
How bad was it this season with Sporting, with no goals, no wins? How bad did it look?
It at times looked like there was something there, but nothing was like clicking into the final thing. And I think that if you go back and watch the game against Dallas, they didn't look that bad. Really, they didn't. And they had some they weren't creating amazing chances, but they were in and around, they were active, they were doing stuff. And they have a couple of defensive frailties that concedes the goals, and they lose over a 2-minute period, loses them the game when they were thoroughly dominant and really kind of heavily attacking in that game. And but there were times there too where the first half of that 3-3 draw against Minnesota, I thought they looked dead in the water. I thought they looked dead in the water with their game against LAFC. There were some other games where I thought they were kind of in it, but I didn't ever really think they were doing enough that was going to win them a game. And so it was kind of this like patience point of like, okay, we're a month into this season now. You finally have had a few training sessions with your guys, and it doesn't look better. And I think that was probably the ticking point for the ownership too, where they started coming around training sessions, over the last couple of weeks to take a look at what's going on and see if a change needed to be made. And ultimately, that's the decision they made.
I will admit that we were looking at a match when Sporting Kansas City was down 3-0. We thought they were dead in the water. Then all of a sudden, 3 goals in 12 minutes, and you're like, "Whoa, okay." Then there's something there, but then you don't continue that kind of momentum.
Yeah, that loss to LAFC, I think, was the one that for me, like, you have that game against Minnesota, and you're like, okay, cool, like there's some sign of life. And they followed it up with a big dud against a team in LAFC that at the time looked vulnerable. They looked gettable with the way things had gone for their season. And so, they never really threatened them at all on the attack. They were probably lucky to not concede more. They were getting run through the middle of the field. And, that's been an area that Sporting's had a lot of issues. And I feel like, you and I both know the sport well. If you're getting run over in the middle of the field, you're not going to win a lot of games. If your spine is the problem, you're not going to win a lot of games. And that's just kind of how it was. And you really thought, the player, I'll say this, the player vibe has never been bad per se. Yeah. But it's just one of those of like, you can see the frustration, you can see confidence at times waning or coming back, and it was one of those situations that like you really needed them if you were going to feel confident about where they're going after that to get some sort of result or look a lot better against LAFC. But to follow up that 3-3 draw with a dud like that was just kind of one of those big signs, I think.
Kerry Zavagnan's now the interim, and he's going to be the man on the touchline for the foreseeable future. Your vibe on, are they going to be looking for someone here in this year? Are they going to sit there and wait and see who's available? I can't believe I'm saying this after 6 matches in a 34-match schedule. Are they going to wait until November and see who's available, or is it going to be a big gun? Is it going to be a young guy who's going to sit there and come in and go, I see pieces here, I can work with this? Do you have any idea as to what the next step can be?
Yeah, I don't know. And I think the other thing here is like that Peter technically held the chief soccer officer role too.
Yeah.
And for me, I think you get that guy in place before you get a manager. Because if you have someone up top now that's going to be vision casting for that in that role in that organization, you got to have someone like they've got to be in line with the manager. And so what happens too, like you bring in a manager and then you bring in a CSO, and then that CSO doesn't like how the manager that he didn't pick is doing, so he gets rid of him. I think Carey's been around the organization so long. I think it's a safe. I think he is a great interim for the way that it's safe in the fact that there won't be so much volatility while they try and go get a CSO. I don't think he'll be lockstep with the type of soccer necessarily that Vermes played. I don't think I've never felt that Carey's and even the other coaches on the staff's opinions have been 100% like Peter Vermes. I think they all do a good job of working together and presenting different ideas all the time, but this is going to be Carey's opportunity to run the ship, and he might do some things different. So I think there might be a few things that do look a little bit different, and he might do a few different things than Vermes did managerially throughout a game as well. But ultimately, I think that the most important thing is to get that CSO position filled first before you get a manager. And I would hope that ownership would think along those lines too, just because then you just end up with a mess too. If things go south with another manager, then you're changing managers. And now all of a sudden you're starting to do this thing where you're changing managers all the time, and that's not the greatest spot to be in for a club. So it'll be interesting to see what they choose to do. I think, knowing them, I think they'll probably look domestic, but I wouldn't be surprised if the CSO that they bring in is someone that who do they have in their Rolodex in a way that they know they can kind of execute the vision that they're looking to do. So
Daniel Sperry, Kansas City Star, juggling both the new parenthood and putting up with us on the morning show here, talking about everything sporting Kansas City. Could you see a window where the individual that they bring in gets both titles, something Berhalterian, something Bill Parcells-ish, where I want both titles, I want that kind of control? And Bob Bradley is out there, Gio Savarese is out there. Would you anticipate even them looking at somebody who wants both titles?
I mean, I think they could, but they've just had that for the last decade plus.
Yeah.
And I think I personally, I don't know how much that role and doing those two roles like that works as much anymore. And I think we're in a place now where I think, like, you look at most places across the league, though, especially those at the top of the league, those guys are it's kind of top down, where that whole structure is. So I think I don't know that they will not do that necessarily. If a guy like Savarese is willing to not have that title, I think Gio would be a very interesting pick. He's a little bit different than Vermes. He's very fiery, but kind of in the same ilk that Vermes was. But kind of sees the game a little different. And so I think there's some interesting, Jim Curtin's a guy out there too, right? Like these are some big names that are actually available now, that they could go through and could go after. But how do they choose the CSO? Do they keep the soccer, ideals and the same structures the same? As Peter was the one who kind of set all that up for the club. And so do they follow the roadmap that he's built, or do they completely, change things up? That'll be the question there. But I would like to see a little bit of ambition in the managerial search. I'm not that I like Jim Curtin and Gio Savarese aside.
Yeah.
Some MLS retreads, I think, just kind of don't really give the fan base that idea that you're trying to push the needle. And I think Sporting for so long, and when they were great, were pushing the needle for the league on the stadiums, on the training facility. When they built their training facility here, they were one of the first in the league to have this massive, beautiful, state-of-the-art, dedicated training facility for that team. And everyone's followed suit after that. Everyone started building these training centers, and they came online with that with Children's Mercy Park, and it was kind of a tone setting soccer specific stadium that now you look back and you can see elements of Children's Mercy Park that a bunch of places have borrowed and used. So do they kind of try and push the needle again as a small Midwestern market, or do they try and at least get current? And that'll be the question. I just think that being a little bit more ambitious outside of an MLS retread would be the way for them. Or, some young guy you've never heard about might be great, but also could not go great. This is an organization that I think its fan base is losing patience, and you have the Current now in town at a very large level competing for dollars with Sporting, and competing for eyeballs, and they are they are a blast. They win, and it's really cool. Don't get that, like, it's a lot of fun there, and they need to find a way for themselves to get back into that same conversation, of the fun, awesome environment, a great time to be had at the stadium, because ultimately the soccer is what's bringing people in, and the soccer has got to start bringing people in again.
No doubt, especially when you've got a shiny new Riverside Stadium and you're scoring like 98 goals in a season and putting everything in the back of the net and just being absolutely nuts. Another couple minutes here with Daniel Sperry as he juggles both the morning show and New Parenthood here on SDH. You got a lot of player decisions. I've got like 3 thoughts in my head. I want to try to get as many of them in the next 5 minutes. You've got a lot of player decisions here at the end of this particular year. I think we were looking at the numbers, and I think it's like 17 roster decisions possibly. So whomever the individual or individuals are that come in, they really can put their stamp on most of the roster, even though that you've got the base there with the Bishop, Dejan Joveljic, and what you want to try and accomplish with Sporting. I want to ask this about Peter Vermes. Is Peter Vermes still? Would you characterize him as even being underappreciated now, considering the market, considering all of the external factors? Is he underappreciated, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think when he took over in Kansas City, the Wizards were an afterthought, even with how bad the Royals were. I mean, the 3 professional sports were University of Kansas basketball, the Royals, and the Chiefs, and they were in a city outside of KU. They were in a city of non-winners at the time, and their Open Cup, the Open Cup run in 12 started that. The MLS Cup in 13 was, came before the Royals started being good. They were the city's first winner for a very long time. And they got people really excited about soccer to the point where we already had the foundation here, I think, for that soccer fervor that really helped the Current when they reestablished themselves, because those FCKC days, I think there was still a lot of people jumping on board with soccer. And I don't know that they were quite ready to jump on board with the NWSL and with women's soccer as they were now. But I mean, Kansas City for a while was a kind of an afterthought within the whole soccer sphere. And they're going to be hosting games in the World Cup. And I think a significant amount of that has to do with Peter Vermes helping not only put the team on the map, but that he brought people into the game and brought people with the success that they had here, introduced people to the game, and soccer in Kansas City became a huge soccer city in part because of that. The stadium, like I said, he was pushing really hard for that stadium, the training facility. For those, if you've ever been out here, I highly encourage you to come out, and if you can get out to the training facility, and like the tour that we went through was and when it opened in 18 was guided by Peter Vermes, and he had every little detail in that building down to a T. And when we're sitting there in its construction phase, it's just a dirt lot and gigantic steel beams as they're just kind of erecting the frame of this building. And he's trying to vision cast, okay, there's 3 fields here and another field. And there's going to be ways for it all to be integrated in and on video. And that way we can get everything into the room. And he's vision casting everything. And there's just so much going on, and the details of like what happens when you walk in the room with the pool and the hot and the cold pools, and what logo is on what side of the wall. And I think it's really like he was so passionate about making soccer the best it could possibly be, not only in Kansas City, but around the rest of the world. And I think that is what makes him underappreciated, because I don't know, because of the market size, I don't know if people, and he's been here for so long, I don't know if people really got to see and appreciate the true passion, not just for the team, the game, the coaching, but like for soccer period, that he had, and wanting to push it to be the best. And he was very instrumental in a lot of big things in MLS, and pushing the needle and helping rules happen and rule changes and getting all that kind of stuff going with the stadiums and training facilities. So yes, I think very underappreciated. I do think, though, it has been good to see that the reaction, like after the news came out, for those that have been around, was very like, okay, it kind of sucks, Sporting, we're bad, but we're not going to just keep hounding on Vermees here. Like, this dude absolutely needs to be praised for the legend that he is, and time just ran out.
And that's why we wanted to have you on to discuss Peter Vermees and everything going on in Kansas City. Hit the promo for me so folks can follow you and all the intel and the info that you drop on a daily basis when you're not trying to get in a nap to catch up on your sleep.
Yeah, you can follow me, of course, on X, Twitter, whatever the heck you call it now, at Sperry Daniel 94, and then you can find me at Daniel Sperry over on Blue Sky as well. Any work on soccer, both NWSL and MLS, done there. So always great to, and at this point you can see quick shots of our newborn and our daughter fawning over her, and it's adorable. So
then that's all that matters. Congratulations on a bunch of different fronts, my friend. Find the value of naps. I'm hoping that you will be allowed to have that value at points. And we'll catch up with you soon, my friend. Thanks for dropping by early in a morning in Kansas City.
Will do. Thanks, guys.
All right, Daniel Sperry, Kansas City Star. Man, you could tell he is burning the candle. He is like, you could see that he was in dire need of a nap. You really could tell. You could tell. And the fact that he could put 20 minutes together about Peter Vermees and Sporting Kansas City, Class A, putting together. Man, like I said, congratulations on the new parenthood and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, late nights, early mornings, and what day is it? What time is it? That's what you're getting right now. Daniel, be good. I'm seeing him in the green room. He's out the door. All right, so that's good to get that update on everything there. So let's see what's going on with everybody going here this morning. So we'll say hi to everybody. We'll go over what happened yesterday in the Premier League and all the other things before our buddy Nino Torres joins us coming up at the top of the hour. Morning, Lokeville. Morning, Will. Once again, remember, weather's going to be kind of nasty in some parts of the U.S. Keep an eye on your friends. Keep an eye on your family. And make sure that everything is fully charged. Yes, Ricky, we got into the whole 2031 bit. But the thing is, Ricky says, it's so much further away than it is, and it's only 6 years. I know. Think about where this particular part of the country was 6 years ago in growing things and where it is now. 6 years, that's a lot of planning. But you got to get it done now. You got to be ready at zero. You can't just sit there and it's like, oh, yeah, there's your deadline, bang, and then start thinking. No, you got to get ready so you hit the ground running 6 years from now. So that'll be fun. Yeah, the planting of the flag, absolutely. I know. But the thing is, the video that was put out by Ricky, by the way, and the video that Ricky linked to from, I want to say, ground level from one of the network affiliates in Chattanooga, that was from the side of the benches. The side that I was looking at when I was looking at the end of the broadcast came from the fan side, the red side, the red seat side, the Red Bulls fans. Literally twice you had dudes go in like after the match, and then the players probably were distracted by looking at one another, but you had folks coming from the Red Bulls fan side and planting the flag right in the middle. Wasn't like the big one that you see in that video that Ricky linked to from one of the network affiliates in Chattanooga, but yeah, once and twice you had folks come running out with the flag and just go bang right there, right at the 50 at Fort Finley. 12,161. It was crazy last night. Go back and watch. If you have a couple of minutes, I would probably, you watch the second half, maybe the final 30 minutes plus 20 in PK. So if you've got an hour, like during your lunch hour, go back and watch the last 30 from like the 60th minute on to the end. Do that during your lunch hour. And then watch the end of the broadcast to what I was talking about, where folks are just coming off the field and they're just planting the Red Wolves flag right there at Finley Stadium. And Will's like with what we saw with P-Hop last night, Ollie Wright and Azad Liadi. Yeah, we got to run into them last season for Huntsville. And the thing, Ricky, I don't know how many more times they're going to play each other unless the U.S. Soccer mandates it. It's like you're over there, I'm over here, and you're just kind of like, you're like this, It's like, I don't want anything to do with it. You're over there, I'm over here, and there the twain shall meet. And so we'll see. Morning, Harry. Harry says, as much as I wanted CFC to win, it was awesome to see the flag stuff. Need more of that in U.S. Soccer. Harry, who would that be for San Antonio? It's Harry joins us from San Antonio every morning. Who would be that for San Antonio? If you had that moment at Toyota, who would be that team that you hate the most? That would be something like that. Oh, and I have not seen this, but apparently Harry is alluding to very horrific PKs for Hartford Athletic against P-Hop for then got the win. And by the way, that bot that popped in has already been taken care of and blown out by the folks on Twitch. Morning, David. Big win for them yesterday. A big win for the Magpies. And I got to figure out my fantasy team because I started Isak, but I think Jacob Murphy was on the bench for me. But since I had other players who didn't play, I still get those points. New York Jet 3, welcome. Glad that you're here, a part of things. Don't be surprised if SI Stadium ends up being a place where you get workouts done and things like that. You're still active in the process, but when you are in a market like that, you're going to want to play at the Meadowlands, a handful of miles down the street. So you're going to go play at the Meadowlands, and you might have people working out at SI Stadium in Harrison. Morning, Abby. And good. Abby finally got her gear from Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. The one thing I forgot to tell you, one of the cool little bits that I got to see that registered for me, the SDH logos on one sleeve and the Grady Baby logos down here at the bottom of the cuff on the other. So it's just a cute little touch. Very, very comfortable sweatshirts. I recommend them. They will take me to the poorhouse. So yes, Abby, I think we can have as many times as we want for lunch. We can have as much time as we want for lunch. But I would say if you have an hour, then watch the last 30, the 20, and the PKs from last night's Chattanooga FC Red Wolves match. Not even just for the activity, but for the fan engagement and all the stuff that we've been talking about this morning. Let's see. So Austin, according to Harry. Okay, so Austin's probably the team that he'd get that much hatred if he was a juice boxer. He thinks it's a lock that San Antonio travels to Austin in round 3. So we'll keep an eye on that. All right. Going into today, I know we had some activity yesterday. And let me get into the Premier League before we wait for our buddy Nino coming in. So yesterday had a couple of matches. Big win for Ipswich, by the way. Ipswich came in. There were a lot of folks that were injured for Bournemouth that sat. Liverpool, Merseyside is red. They won 1-0. Ipswich at a plus 647 beat Bournemouth 2-1. Villa put 3 on Brighton at a plus 200. Manchester City won 2-0 over Leicester. Manchester-Leicester, I'm not going to get over that. Newcastle beat Brentford 2-1. Southampton, Crystal Palace got a point. 1-1 at a plus 301. So we'll keep an eye on that, but still a big win for Ipswich and all of the fallout there. Like I said, Bournemouth had 7 players, a lot of their big name players out in the matchup against Manchester in the FA Cup. And so you still had your carryover here because you got to look at the bigger picture. Let's see. Next matches today. You got a couple of them, or actually just the one. Chelsea and Spurs at 3 o'clock. Chelsea at a minus 147, draws a plus 334. Spurs are a plus 348. And yeah, the fact that they have to turn around and come on and play on Sunday, where Chelsea goes to Brentford and Spurs host Southampton. I mean, you kind of like, yeah, the matches that for Spurs, it should be a match you take care of, but who knows? So standings, just to get into all of that. And then after Niko, we'll get everything else on the board for what to watch, where to watch it, and all that kind of stuff. So 30 matches in, except for Spurs, who have 29, and Crystal Palace at 29. Ipswich is now 9 points back of Wolves with 38 matches to go. So it's looking pretty rough that it's going to be Leicester, Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton 1, 2, and 3. And Southampton is 10 points. They're 19 points out of safety. So with 8 to go, Shooter, good morning. Let's see. So Southampton is 19 points clear. They got the point that they needed or to stave off relegation quickly. So 8 matches, 24 points. So if Wolves win on the weekend, then I think that would mean 7 matches to go. So if Wolves win and Southampton lose, then that would mean on the weekend that 7 matches would go and Wolves would be 22 clear. So basically, here's how it happens. If Wolves win and Southampton lose, Southampton's relegated with 7 matches to go. 2, 4, and 24, 22 goals scored, 71 allowed, goal difference of minus 49. So that's what you're staring at with them. And let's see. So Wolves, my Wolves. I didn't know Shooter was a Wolves fan, in addition to everything that he doesn't like happening right now currently in New England. And then we'll have that talk next week. So Abby, public service announcement. Long day, load-ins in the morning, walks around Metro, tailgate with the Hawks game at 3 and the kickoff at 7:40. Yeah, it's going to be a busy day. Hawks are kicking off at 3, and then Atlanta United kicks off at 7:40 at Mercedes-Benz right next door. And so I think they're trying to get folks in the barn at State Farm so you can go and watch the Hawks and then wander over and tailgate and all that kind of stuff. There might be some ticket things, so keep an eye on all that stuff. But anyway, Shooter, yes, all my teams suck. No. But we love you, Shooter, and we're glad that you're here. So that's the quick rundown of everything that happened yesterday. You had some cup competitions and things. We'll get into all of the other news and stuff as we kind of drift in and out. Gabriel's not going to play until next season. He needs surgery, and he's going to be out for a couple of months. So no more playing for him for the remainder of this year. I don't know if you saw this, but apparently Jose Mourinho grabbed his rival manager's nose after losing in the Turkish Cup. Obviously, he went face-to-face with Galatasaray's Okan Buruk, and so he appeared to grab the nose of the manager in the end scenes of Fenerbahce's 2-1 defeat to their rivals. He appeared to pinch Buruk's nose after the final whistle, and so, of course, Buruk falls to the pitch on his back and face in his hands, and Mourinho was dragged away. Galatasaray's VP Metin Öztürk claimed after both managers had spoken to match officials, Mourinho first verbally and then physically attacked him. Where else in the world can he do this? What does he think of Turkey? I believe that Fenerbahce's management will impose the necessary sanction before the federation does. Buruk tried to play the move down and said it wasn't a classy move. Nothing between me and Mourinho. He pinched my nose from behind. There was a slight scratch. Of course, it wasn't a very nice or elegant thing to do. We expect managers to behave more appropriately in such situations. I won't exaggerate the issue, but it wasn't a classy move. So I guess Jose Mourinho is now got your nose with his rivals. I never knew that was something that was going to happen. PGMOL admits that Tarkowski should have been sent off against Liverpool. And let me see if there's anything else that I have missed when it comes to any other news and notes before Nino Torres joins us here in short order. Tarkowski wrongly escaped the red card for a leg breaker tackle. And so now, of course, in the Telegraph, there's an article up. The Newcastle Trophy Parade is now inspiring an effort to increase a new stadium capacity. So we'll see if that amounts to anything going forward. Jack Grealish got the goals yesterday, and he had a very, very emotional tribute to his brother and said it was for you, Keelan. And so that was very, very cool. A very, very cool moment there for for Jack Grealish yesterday in a 2-0 win for Manchester City. So Manchester and Leicester is what we're doing. All right, so 10 o'clock. After 10 o'clock, we know what that means. It is that time. Oh, different background. We have to discuss this. So it's after 10 o'clock, and it's time to catch up and go fully loaded with our buddy Nino Torres. Where else on this planet can you go from Kansas City to Lima, Peru? We bring in Nino. And the background is different. Yellow, yellow, yellow.
Hello, Johnny. How you doing, man? I'm gonna, my throat is gonna hurt today because I went to to watch my beloved Universitario Deportes last night. So you understand why I'm like this today.
You got a low gear it this morning. We won't.
Low gear, brother. Because
we'll make sure that everything's fine. We won't get you too excited. So then I will be excited for the both of us. You said that Peruvian teams got a harsh reality check in the Copa Libertadores. Run through it, brother.
Well, we started on Tuesday with Alianza Lima. They got a great chance to beat Libertad, but in the end, things didn't work out for Alianza. They were not the same team. They were close, but not that close. Many players not meeting their standards, the international standards. And I gotta tell you this, Johnny. In this case, I want to talk about the Universitario game too, but in the Alianza Lima's case, they thought it was gonna be easier because they beat Nacional in the first round of the Copa Libertadores. They got over Boca Juniors and they got over Iquique. And now, you know what? Libertad is accessible. Yes, it's feasible. We're going to take care of business. No, brother. No. When you get to the group stage, every single team is hard. Every single team is hard. And they prove it one more time. Scoreless. And you know what? The stadium, it was just, it can't be like that. You can't be quiet because they were stunned by the performance, and they were quiet. Their stadium was quiet. I'm not in my case because last night we were freaking loud, but and it's not because I am from Universitario and they're only. No, I'm not saying just because of that. That's not the only reason, but you can't be quiet, brother, when your team is playing Copa Libertadores. You can't.
I'm going to guide through this conversation, knowing that you are hurting, knowing that you are low gearing it, because you got. First off, when's your next match that you got to call on Gold TV? Okay, so
Saturday.
you got a couple days. I was like, you got to make sure that everything is cool. But you look at Libertadores, and I will once again promote our buddy Howard Hamilton and Soccer Metrics as to the Libertadores preview show that we pieced together. So Libertadores, let's go through the rundown. Yesterday in the group stage, Sao Paulo and Talleres Cordoba, Universidad de Chile over Botafogo. That one to me is a bit of a surprise. Then the fact that it was River Plate. I mean, River Plate and you're you, brother. I mean, that's heavyweight stuff. You cannot be quiet when River Plate's in your barn, man. You can't.
Yeah, and that's actually another point I'm going to discuss later because that's another topic that's at the bottom. You saw it.
Oh yeah.
But, that was amazing. But I went to the stadium and 60,000 people now. 60,000 people roaring. And that referee, I mean, all right, this is what I'm going to say. Right? I'm not going to say that we lost because of the referee. No, I'm not going to say that. No, because there was the inability of Universitario Deportes to create offensive chances. That's what got us under. That's the reason, the main reason why we lost. But got to say this. That referee, he really leaned the table. He really did. And Johnny, do you see? I mean, 15 fouls. 15 fouls. One caution.
Wow.
15, one caution. Give me a break.
Wow.
Give me a break. And every single goal, every single challenge, every single tackle, was for them, not for us. And we made him feel it. Oh, the stadium made him feel the pressure. But he felt the heat in the second half. It was just because every single time, like it can be. I understand a couple of calls, right? Oh, okay, one call here, one call there, right? But consecutive calls, consecutive fouls, and they were in transitions. I mean, there were key fouls. And he did not call him. And like, wow. And now, going to the actual game, right? I was trying to defend this guy. We signed Diego Churin as a striker for Universitario Deportes, right? Because we were looking for a striker at the end of the season. We know we need a high quality striker. And then we went ahead and signed a 35-year-old Argentine from Paraguay, from Cerro Porteño, who scored four goals last year. And I was like, not that critic until last night. Up until last night, I was just giving him the credit. All right, he scored 3 goals. That's fine. Just let's take it slow. But I saw the lineup yesterday, and I was like, all right, he's starting tonight. So we brought you for this, all right, to make a fight in the Cup and Libertadores. This is the moment where you shine. Every single challenge he lost. He lost every single challenge in the first 45 minutes. He could not, and we didn't shoot, Johnny. We didn't shoot on goal in the entire first 45 minutes. Then in the second 45, our number nine enters, boom, game change. He won the very first aerial challenge. He won it. And he won every single challenge. He won it. He's smaller than Churin. Churin is 6'3", 195, and Alex Valeris he's my height. He's 5'8", 185. And how do you win all the challenges? And the other guy that's stronger, taller than you doesn't win it. No. Okay, if you would have played the Giroud thing that you're the tactical number 9 that doesn't score goals but helps out the team. All right, but help the freaking team, brother. If you're not gonna score a goal, just help the team. You know, I totally lost faith last night, and I sent a message to the private chat with the guys in Gold TV that we have. Right, I gotta recognize this. He's a bust. He is just a bust. That's flat out. He's a bust because when Copa Libertadores comes in, you don't have room for error, brother. You don't have room for error. You must win your 3 games at home in order to believe that you have a chance. Now we lost 1, and now we gotta go and win in Ecuador. Gotta win in Buenos Aires. Gotta win in Quito, in Guayaquil. You gotta steal 1 victory away from home, and that is the toughest part to do in Copa Libertadores. And it's ridiculous, man. I'm so mad that the people smack up the front office because how do you sign this guy? Why do you sign this guy? And the second year in a row that we sign how do I say this? And any a number 9 that is not that's not gonna make the difference. You know, he didn't. Torregaray didn't make the difference last year when they signed him. Then got this guy this year, didn't work out. All right, let's. I don't know. I understand that the money is an issue, right? But make an effort. Just make an effort, like we do. You know, you make efforts, you make sacrifices. Where you want to get something that you want, that you need, not just that you want, but that you need. You sacrifice things in life, right? I'm gonna get an extra job. I'm gonna get whatever, but make a sacrifice to make it happen. And it doesn't seem like that's the case when we study Deportes for numbers, man. And
1-0 loss last night. A couple of familiar faces for River. For those who are up here following Liga MX, there's Maxi Mesa and Sebastian Driussi, who was in Austin. So a couple of familiar faces for folks that might have been watching that. Last night, just to sit there and look at your numbers, it was a 5-3-2 to start. Britos in net, back 5 of Apollo, Corzo, Riveros, Inga, and Carvalho. Midfield 3, Costa, Murugara, and Concha, and up top, Flores and Churin. And I looked at Diego Churin in 55 minutes. 18 touches, 9 of 13 passing, 13 passes and 18 touches. He did win 5 of 7 in the air. Lost possession 6 times. Those are kind of numbers that you don't want. I mean, 31 touches for Edison Flores, and then
Give me 1 second. So that's my mama's phone. Hold on.
whoa, look out! Man's got to answer his mom's phone. He's got to answer that one. I was wondering what the background was. So, so we will make sure that everything is cool there with Nino. But yeah, last night as we got into the Copa, front guys weren't getting a whole lot of touches, and you ended up getting a 1-0 loss there with the Copa. All right, so let me bring Nino back in. Is everything cool?
Yeah, everything's good. Everything's good.
Okay, just checking. So yeah, I was going through the numbers for your two attacking forwards last night, and one of them had Churin had 18 touches and was 9 of 13 passing in almost 6.
Horrible touches. You know, it's just like that. His first touch was just ridiculously bad, brother. He lost it. I mean, he got it, and then the ball went sideways. You know, Ripley was so aggressive. That's another thing now that I mentioned aggressive. We were not aggressive in order to recover the ball. At one point, and that was a bit. It was disrespectful, but they did it because they could start to juggle the ball around, passing around, and we cannot catch the ball. We were chasing the ball for like 2 minutes in a row, and the guys were rotating, like, come on, get us the ball, get the ball from us. Come on, get the ball from us. You can't do it. Just can't do it. Then the second half, the attitude changed. We put on the pitch Jairo Vélez that I think that he should not be on the bench anymore. He's the kind of guy that we need. We need that playmaker because Gabriel Costa and Jairo Concha cannot get it together. And this is the player that I wanted. I've been wanting this guy for years, and finally arrives to Universitario Deportes, and he proved last night that he's up to the challenge. He is the guy that you need in Copa Libertadores, and I'm pretty sure that Bustos recognizes that, and he's going to start him probably every single Copa Libertadores game. I have no doubt about that, brother.
12 of 18 passing, 31 touches in 35 minutes. In 35 minutes, he was 6 of 11 on his duels, 4 of 7 in the air, 2 of 4 on the ground. Fouled 3 times as a part of that process as well. You wanted to get into the South American U17 tournament where it was brutal for Peru again. You're just beating yourself up this morning, man.
It's ridiculous, man. This is I said again, but I want to tell you the scores, right? Opening game in the tournament, we lost 5-0 to Paraguay. The next day we play the host, Colombia, 2-0. Then we played Chile on Monday. We lost 5-0. And yesterday we played Argentina and we lost again 4-0. So 4 games, no goals, 450 goals conceded in 4 matches. This is a deep problem. It's just not about the results. Because I was talking to a coach who coaches, he's a youth coach. And so what do we look for in these tournaments, in these under 17s, under 19s, under 21 teams tournaments? I understand that you know that you're not going to win every tournament. You're not going to. No, we're looking for development of players and see who is ready for playing the first division. Okay, but what about winning? What about winning? Why we're not looking for to win? I don't. If I go in there, I want to see if my guys are playing good or not. No. I'm gonna go there and try to win every single freaking game. And we got a big. I mean, it's been so long, Johnny, since we qualified to the World Cup. 2011 was the last under 17 Peruvian team that went into the World Cup. 2011. It's too long. It's way too long. What are we doing with our kids? We're not preparing them right. And the thing that I got a little bit of hope is like this. I've seen this because I got my nephews and my girlfriend's sons are young. some way somehow we're getting taller. I don't know how, but we are getting taller. Right. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal because um, in Peru, if you Jenny, how tall are you? You're tall, man. You're what, 6'3"?
No, I wish. I'm 6 foot.
Yeah, you were 6 foot. All right. So you're a giant here. You're a giant here. All right. You walk in the streets and stepping on the people's heads. You know, it's crazy, right? And that's a disadvantage that we have as a nation. But now we guys, these new generations are getting taller. My nephew is 6'3". My girlfriend's son is 6'2", and the other one is 6'3". So we got this defender for the Universidad de Deportes who's 6'2". So we are going above the 6 feet now. Oh, this is awesome. Now gotta find these kids, find them, train them. You know, show them the fundamentals. And if they're talented, all right, hopefully we got tall, strong, talented kids, not just tall, strong, no talented kids. That'll be
yeah, tall and strong and talented would be a good mix. Yeah.
You know, we need all three to put it together, right? Because because my nephew's case, he just doesn't have a clue how to kick the ball. But it is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, that's what happened in the under 17, and man, it's heartbreaking, man.
National team police is coming after you. The policia, I hear them coming to the door.
Yeah, I got hospitals. I got everything around here. So you're gonna hear the sirens on.
It's all good. Next one, it is a big Clásico weekend in Portugal for the Liga Portugal. Folks can watch you on Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here, and catch you on Gold TV. I will, and I'm gonna break the fourth wall here a bit. One of the coolest things for me is when I see you doing a match on Gold TV, and I say this because we're friends, and I love you very much. So when I see you on Gold TV, technically when I hear you on Gold TV, it's a great source of pride for me because I can sit there and go, I know that guy.
Yeah.
And the fact that I can have a conversation with you from here, with you there, calling a match in Portugal, and you and I can have replacements conversations and you know any given Sunday conversations while you're doing your thing. It's a way that we get to stay connected other than, you know, we catch up with each other on Thursdays. So thank you for answering your social media and
the same FICO thing.
When have we ever fought? But it's like I said, it's a little fun thing that you know, we kind of get to sit there and kind of keep up with each other and what's going on. So it's a big Clásico weekend in Portugal. Folks can watch you on Gold TV. By the way, Fanatis is running a special for those of you that may not know. They're running a special 25% off. It is tomorrow, Aves and Estoril. On the 5th, it's Aruca and Famalicão, Vitória Guimarães, Santa Clara, Gil Vicente Moreirense, Nacional Estrela, Porto Benfica. Ooh. Farense, Casapia, Rio Ave, Boa Vista, Sporting, and Braga, and then there you go. So which ones are you locked into there, sir?
The biggest clásicos of the weekend. We have I have the Porto Benfica, and I have the Sporting Club versus Sporting Braga on Monday Night Soccer. So it's actually 19 in Portugal, but not it's 3:30 here, in the East Coast. Man, this weekend, brother, So Porto is having the chance to ruin the party for Benfica. They can ruin the party for Benfica. Oh yes, they can. But I don't know if they can. Is it going to happen or not? Because right now they're at the two different levels. Benfica, they're running their offense. Things are clicking. Di Maria is back. Evangelis Pavlidis is in absolute fire on the second half of the season. You make the substitutions, and the substitutions work. Whereas in Porto, if Rodrigo Mora doesn't run the show, there's no show for Porto. And we're talking about the responsibility of a 17-year-old kid. But by the way, guys, listen to this name, Rodrigo Mora. Google it, watch it, search for it because he is the next big star. The next big star. At 17 years old, he is so fresh. He's, you watch him play, and he's like the guy's playing a high school game with his buddies. Like he's playing professional, but he's doing really so seamlessly, so free, and he's a magician. He is. The way he slaloms throws through the to the players, but not only that, he he does something that is very hard to do when you're 17, 18, 19. He knows when to let it go. He doesn't hold the ball that much. He knows he can, right? He knows he can. Oh, I can dribble 4 or 5 guys. No, no, no. I'm gonna dribble 2. I'm gonna pass the ball. I'm gonna pivot it. I'm gonna switch it. Yes, he does that. He has the presence of mind of only the great ones has. Only the great ones have that ability to know when to let it go at that age. And I'm telling you, everybody's talking about Jamal and all that, but Rodrigo Mora. He is the reason. He is the reason why Porto has a chance on Sunday against Benfica. And the other thing, I was talking with the guys on Tuesdays the other night, and I told the Benfica guy, hey guys, you got the chance. I'm like, brother, listen, this is how it works. We can go and play at Do Dragao. Every time we play at Do Dragao, Porto can put 11 construction workers and make a nightmare for us. All right. So don't tell me that they have the roster is weak. Don't tell me that, because when we play at Porto's stadium, at Dragao, anything could happen. And this is the most relentless team in the planet that you're talking about. So I'm not. He's a Benfica guy. He's not looking over his shoulder. He's opponent not by a slight millimeter, brother. Nothing. So it's gonna be a massive game, because if Porto wins, and the next day, Sporting has to beat Braga, which I think they're playing at home. I think Sporting has a serious chance to. I'm not to run away with the title, because they have too many injuries. But if they win on Monday and Benfica doesn't, I think it's over. It's over. Even though after this is 6 more games to play, and they had to play Benfica in the round 33. Yeah, round 33 got to play Benfica. I think it's gonna be over. Even though with all the injuries, like I told my buddy Derek Gomez, who is the Sporting guy, when the last lap comes in Portugal, right? Your car is gonna be with a transmission leak. Your tires will be flat. You got no rear side window mirrors. Your visor is blurry. But you're gonna cross the line in first place. That's how it's gonna work.
Oh man, Sporting is a -185 at home, hosting Braga at a +476. Benfica is favored on the road at a +148. Porto is a +183 as a home dog. So that's what you want. All right. So last one that you wanted to discuss, and I saved this one for the last on purpose. And here's how he writes it. My first time with Mama at the stadium was epic. Break this down.
It was beautiful, right? Because first off, I didn't know that she was gonna go. Right? She just showed up on my part. Hey, can you make lunch for me? Yeah, Mama, come over. Sure, make lunch for you. And she came in, and my brother sent me a text. Hey, we got the tickets for tonight, brother. We're going with Mama. The 2 of us and Mama, we're going. All right, awesome. So you got from work. I take Mama to the stadium, and we meet there. All right, awesome. So we get ready. And even though the stadium here is what is it, 5-6 miles away?
Oh wow,
it's close, right? You might think, right, but you know about traffic because you're in Atlanta, brother. So you know about traffic, but there's nothing like Lima traffic, brother. I'm telling you. I mean, you can say whatever you want about Atlanta. They're saying they're famous for the worst traffic in the States, but you know how long it took us to get to the stadium? 5 miles, huh? 5 miles.
90 minutes.
95 minutes.
Oh.
95 minutes. We got out of here. We got there at 7:25. Kickoff was at 7:30. We were right there on the money. But that was not the part. That was not the part, brother. The part was that like we, got on my deal and go to the streets and let me call a cab. Let me call it. Hey, wait, cabs. There are no cabs, brother. Oh, let me check Uber. Not available. Let me check the other app. No, it's not available. No, there was no one was available, brother. No one was available. My mom was like, man, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? We were on the street, right? And there were no taxis coming. It was just ridiculous, Johnny. There were no taxis. Oh, okay, we're not using the app. We're gonna use just a regular cab across the street. Not a single taxi. My God, what are we gonna do? You know what my mama did? Hey, that's a car when you're studying with the Portuguese guys. Hey guys, can you use it? Can you use a ride? Can you use a ride? And they stop. The guys, you going to the stadium? Yeah, we going. All right, let's go, mama. Let's go. My mom got us a ride to go to see the Universidad de Deportes. Yeah. She
riding with the team personnel. That's fantastic. Save your voice, brother. You had Tuga Tuesday. You had a busy night. You had a match that you had to yell at. You had to yell at us. Save your voice. Can't wait to see you on the Liga Portugal this weekend on Goal TV. Love you very much, my friend. Honey and lemon or throat coat tea. Let me know if I need to ship you something, okay?
All right, brother. Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys.
Always. Nino Torres. Nino's going to go like collapse or something. He's going to just absolutely, he's gassed. I'm looking at him in the green room. He's done. Literally 1, 2, 3. Ring the bell. Ring the bell. He's done. But after Tuga Tuesday, after last night, and coming back at it today, full credit. Man gets full credit for sticking with it. Now I tried to low gear it as best I could, so he wasn't going to be like yelling at the top of his lungs. So we get all the topics in. We get to sit there, and it's like, okay, we'll talk about stuff and make sure that he doesn't get bent out of shape, because that's the last thing you need, because he's got to be ready for activity on Saturday. Last night in the Libertadores, and by the way, Howard Hamilton from Soccer Metrics does the Copa Libertadores show. You can listen to that on the network. Last night, Sao Paulo was a dog and beat Talleres Cordoba at a plus 238 1-0. Universidad de Chile 1-0 winners at home as an underdog to Botafogo. That's probably the shock result of the night. River Plate at a minus 120, beat Universidad Deportes at a plus 371. Atlético Nacional and Nacional. No, they're not related. One's in Colombia, one's in Peru. Atlético Nacional won 3-0 at a minus 164. Today, 3 matches at 6. Bahia favored at home against Internacional at a plus 136. Central Cordoba favored at home against Liga de Quito at a plus 234. Central Cordoba is a plus 129. Palmeiras at a minus 200 on the road facing Sporting Cristal out of Peru, and Flamengo a minus 250 on the road at Deportivo Táchira out of Venezuela at a plus 701. You're in the group stage right now in Libertadores, so that's the best way to hang out and look at all that stuff and find out what's going on. And that's why we bring in our buddy Nino Torres every week, because of what he does when he calls the activity on Goal TV. It gives us that window into Europe. And with him being live in Lima Blanca, Peru, gives us the window to everything going on in South America on a weekly basis. So absolutely true. So apparently, Abby, they got in with the team vehicles. That's one way to do it. I mean, when your mom is trying to get you a ride, no Ubers, no cabs, no nothing. You're 5 miles, 6 miles from the stadium. Yeah, go ahead. We'll hitch a ride on the team bus. Yeah, those are your Universidad guys. Yeah, why not? But that's the thing about our older relatives. They don't have. They're like IDGAF when it comes to getting from point A to point B. We're like we don't want to ask those questions. And it's like, no, you don't ask that. But then, like your mom or your dad or your grandfather, or everything, they'll just go walking right up and go, hey, can we do X, Y, or Z? And then they'll look at the mom, the dad, or the granddad. Yeah, come on up. And then we'll look at it and go, man, that's a different set of stones. Different set of stones altogether when it comes to piecing those things together. Quick reminders once again. Double match day tonight on Soccer Down Here on the Mixler app. It'll be Jason and Maddie and Sophia down at Sharpsburg for Trinity Christian hosting Dutchtown. And then I will be at Hebron Christian for Toombs County on the long road trip. Toombs County and Hebron Christian. I'll have those matches for you as well. So download the Mixler app, MIXLR, and follow Soccer Down Here and Soccer Down Here 2, SDH2. So then that way you can, when we have to be in two places at once, that's why we have SDH 1 and 2. So both the channels will be up and running. You can listen at soccerdownhere.net, hit the listen tab, and then when there's something that's live on one of the channels, it'll flash, and that way you just click into it and it feeds right to it. Or you can download the Mixler app, soccerdownhere.mixler.com, soccerdownhere and the number 2.mixler.com. I think I did that right. 2.mixler.com. So you can listen to either me calling Hebron Christian hosting Toombs County, or you can hear Maddie and Jason calling the activity with Dutchtown and Trinity Christian. So tomorrow, once again, it's Pius and Marist. We'll have that doubleheader for you from Stadler Field on the campus of the Marist School. And then, like I said, it'll be everybody with Atlanta at Atlanta United and FC Dallas on Saturday. Then we have Messi and Friends too. After losing in the Open Cup to the Miami FC, they had to turn around and they have to be up here to take on Atlanta United to Sunday night across the SDH network, and you can listen to us as well. We'll have the call. Pregame starts at 7, kickoff 7:33, so we'll have that for you as well here on the network. And like I said, we're efforting our matches for next week. We're starting to get all that lined up. Have a couple of locations early in the week, midweek Thursday, week from today. It's going to be Philadelphia Union 2 and Atlanta United 2 at Chester. So we'll have that one for you on the network as well. And then, like I said, we're trying to orient our high school schedule and get all that squared away for next week as well. It's that time. Last half hour of the show, which means one thing. It means we go from Lima, Peru to Seattle, Washington, and find out what's going on in Major League Soccer from the Pacific perspective. We bring in our buddy Nico Moreno from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart, where he's lobbing water balloons on a weekly basis. How are you, my friend? Good morning. What cup of coffee are you on?
Good morning, my man John. SDH family, this is cup number 1. Actually, you can hear my voice. I'm just starting to get those juices flowing. I'm trying to get that coffee into my bloodstream, but here I am, ready to go. It was a little bit of a late night, going over a little bit of the CONCACAF games last night, but it's been a great week, man. It's been a lot of information going at one time, a lot of content put through, like you mentioned, Sandra Hart, Pulso Sports. Got to finally meet and talk to Mr. Ryan Kent, and man, it's a guy that definitely radiates some confidence. So here to talk about whatever you want, John. I'm all yours.
All right, so let's start with that late night and what went down in the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza. I mentioned it in the open of the show that apparently somebody in social media for Messi and Friends thought it would be a great idea to hang a pink jersey from the Kobe Bryant statue in Los Angeles, like literally on the Kobe Bryant statue. You're messing with all kinds of juju when you do that. And as it turned out, LAFC got the 1-0 win. You don't step on Superman's cape. You don't spit in the wind. You don't pull the mask off of the Lone Ranger, and you don't hang an Inter Miami jersey on the Kobe Bryant statue.
Wow, I missed that. I don't know what lost mind decided to do that sort of prank, but oh my, that is, like you mentioned and you put very well, that's just the wrong type of energy you want to put on your team. Someone as beloved as Kobe Bryant, who obviously, because of the circumstances of his passing, I mean, come on, let's really get it together. Beyond the man, beyond the legend, the point scorer that he was, just everything about the way of his passing should never, ever be involved in something like that. My goodness, people just have no sense.
And so, of course, the Karma Gods came and they wagged their finger at Messi and Friends, a 1-0 win in that way. And Vancouver and Pumas, a 1-1 draw in the first leg of these quarters. But
well,
yeah.
maybe that's why Ordaz didn't get a red card. I mean, I don't know, but either way, I mean, you are absolutely right, man. Although I missed that, maybe that makes a little bit of sense on why Messi was so limited, what he seemed so mortal in this game. He was not the magician. He was not the Messi that was going to take over. He had a couple of moments, but man, LAFC rightfully won that game.
All right, so let's get into the fun that you're having up there at Providence and Swedish Bouncy House and Daycare Center. Ryan Kent in the door. It was something that you had been discussing last week. It is now officially official. Early returns, early vibes, early thoughts about him being now a part of what's going on since Seattle needed help.
Look, let's start by highlighting the fact that Ryan Kent was more open, more engaged about everything surrounding his situation than I expected. This is a guy that has dealt with, I'm sure, plenty of pressure, a lot more media members than there were at Providence that specific day, Providence and Swedish. And yet he was very open about everything and answer every question and took the time to answer every question, even some questions that he didn't really understand. And I'll get to that here in a second. But if there were a couple of things to point out, was one, he mentioned and was very clear about why he wanted to come to Seattle. He said that MLS is a place that he sees growing, that he's getting better, and it felt like the right move for him. He mentioned that he declined several offers from other leagues and other teams prior to coming to MLS. That might sound like a little bit of chalk, or maybe not. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's what it is, but going and doing a little bit more research, apparently there were some European teams that reached out to Ryan Kent, and he decided to come to MLS. So I thought that was interesting. And then number three, he mentioned that this is the easiest transition he's ever had because the group has no egos. He mentioned, he said, this group is so inviting. There are no egos in here. It's all about just the group. So it seems like a guy that wants to come and perform, wants to obviously reignite his career. Craig Weibel mentioned reviving the love for the game. And after you go through the things that he went through at Fenerbahce, where you are blacklisted, you're put into this individual bubble, and you're kept away from the group, and you have to end up getting released from a club, I could understand why you have to revive that, reignite that love for the game. So just very frank, very honest. The other thing that I want to say before I move on to what we've seen out of him in training is that he did clarify that the issues were not with Jose Mourinho. The issues were with those running the Turkish club. He actually mentioned that Jose Mourinho was very good with him, and he saw the opportunity to work with him as a great deal. So I just love what he said in all general senses. The one question he didn't understand, because apparently Ted Lasso is not as popular as you may think in the UK or in England, was the Roy Kent reference. Jada Evans for the Seattle Times asked him about the he's here, he's there, he's everywhere chants, and he had no idea what they were talking about. So he said, that's new for me, is what he mentioned. So clearly Ted Lasso is not his show.
Okay. Do you think with him now in, how different do you envision things offensively for Seattle formationally, approach? Is it going to be different? Is it just going to be putting Ryan Kent in, plug and play? How are you envisioning this now?
I think it's going to be a plug and play simply because of the way Brian operates. I think one of my criticisms towards Brian and the Ferreira situation was that they wanted to just bring in Ferreira and plug him in. He's got to play to our rhythm. He's got to do Jordan Morris-esque stuff because that's what's been working, rather than kind of creating a game system around Ferreira. I think with Ryan Kent is going to be similar. he is an all-out winger. That's what he does. He's a pacey winger. You want him out wide. You want him taking on guys. He's a creative player that is going to have a hard time staying in one pocket or doing certain things. So to me, winger is the best position for him. But Brian has been very animate, and he's kind of dying on the hill of, I'm playing with wingbacks and I'm playing with a 3 center back system in the back. That would put Ryan in those inside channels behind the 9. I think he could do that function because, like I said, he's very creative. He can use some of that pace. There could be some underlaps from Paul Rothrock where that would leave Ryan Kent out wide. So could it work? Yeah, but I think it is going to be a plug and play for Ryan Kent. Now, seeing him on the training field, the dude is different. I mean, the guy is good. And I'm telling you that as soon as a guy, that first ball hits his foot, you could tell a lot about a soccer player. And the guy is just quality. He scored a great goal with his left, maybe, I don't know, 18 yards out, 20 yards out. Then he had one with his right foot. So he's ambidextrous. He could hit it just as well with his right as he can with his left. The guy is just taking players on. His first touch is so clean, so spot on. Seattle's going to have some competition with this guy. If he can continue to stay healthy, apparently he passed all the fitness exams with flying colors, but now we're talking about game rhythm, game fitness, which is different. How quickly can he get there? But if this guy is 100% ready to go, woo, it's going to be some competition up there. I would say that Ferreira right now could be the guy looking outside in because of his lack of productivity and the fact that he hasn't really cemented himself as a 9. And Brian Smetzer kind of mentioned after the San Jose game that he kind of wanted to give Danny Musovski another go at the 9. So if you're thinking of Ferreira more as a cam, if you will, or as another attacking creative midfielder, then he might be behind Ryan if what we've seen in training is any indication of how he will perform on the field. So it's going to be a lot of competition for sure.
Other big news, and we talked to Daniel Sperry from the Kansas City Star in hour number 1, was the dismissal of Peter Vermes finally happening in Kansas City. The loss to FC Dallas. I mean, there seem to be a lot of stops and starts in this notion for the last handful of years. You get off to a bad start, Kansas City comes storming back. You get off to a bad start, you have some injuries, you find some folks in the summer, you bring in 3 new pickups, then you come into the playoffs, and then you make a run. You do well in Open Cup, even though it hurts you in Major League Soccer, and everybody sits there and looks as you chase after an Open Cup title. This year, I know that a lot of folks were kicking dirt on them when they were down one match 3-0 to LAFC, and then the Bishop Dejan Jovic starts three goals in 12 minutes. You come back to get a 3-3 draw, and you're sitting there going, oh, there's something there. Then with Lucho and FC Dallas gets the win 2-1, and now Sporting Kansas City is looking for a new manager. What has been the idea out on the West Coast with you and everybody out there in the Pacific time zone about Peter Vermes now being sent packing, mutually parting of ways from Kansas City? What's the vibe been like out west?
I think there's 2 schools of thought here. One is a little bit of that more purist MLS fan base that was surprised that Peter ended up finally getting sacked, if you will, and knowing what he meant for that franchise. You can't say Sporting Kansas City without saying Peter Vermes. He literally built this thing from the very start, very beginning. You probably wouldn't have them as a men's national team hosts in City if it wasn't for Peter Vermes. That said, and I find myself more on the thought process of, it was about time. And it was maybe too late. It honestly talks about the lack of decision-making and the issues that are and will remain in Sporting Kansas City, which is ownership. If you were going to make this move, why extend him? just recently. Why not make that move before? The issues that we've seen this year are no different than the issues we've seen with Kansas City over the last 4 years. You and I have both sat on this exact same show and talked about, is it time for Peter Vermees to go? And we were both surprised. I think maybe I'm speaking for myself. I think you were surprised as well that he got extended with Sporting Kansas City. So why not make that move early enough where in the offseason you could bring in a guy that could have a whole new idea, finally break down that operation into a GM and a head coach. But the timing of it all just seems so lazy, and he seems so reactive, and that's the part where I feel like Peter Vermees gets the short of the stick, because had that decision been made at the right time, even himself would have had more time to do other things. So I just think it speaks to Sporting Kansas City's issues that are internally still there. But in all honesty, I am glad that Peter Vermees gets to move on. And now we get to think about, not right now, not at this specific time, but we will just think about the Peter Vermees that was, his legacy, what he created, and we're no longer judging him on the poor performances that Sporting Kansas City has had as of the last 4 years.
In your mind, what is his legacy? Because I asked Daniel if he was underappreciated as manager or whatever you wanted to classify him there at Sporting. Is he underappreciated? And Daniel said yes. I think a lot of that has to do with the market that he's in. Yeah. And, those of us, you on the left coast and me on the East Coast and all of the points in between, it's like you kind of skip over the Midwest. And so Peter Vermees in conversation only comes up when you're in the extremes of, oh, Sporting's doing really well. Oh, they've made a great acquisition. Oh, they're off to a really bad start, instead of looking at the larger picture. What do you think his legacy either is or should be, or both?
I think his legacy is what the trophy case in Sporting Kansas City says today. The players that he developed and brought in, like Bucio, in that specific club, and what he was able to do to elevate, as you mentioned, a small market team into one of, at a particular moment in time, one of the elite teams in the Western Conference, that you would think every single year Sporting Kansas City was going to be a contender for a title. And the fact that in the U.S. soccer scale and in the U.S. soccer parameter, it became a hub. It became a community, a city that lived off soccer. So Peter Vermees was able to gather all of the essence that was there in Sporting Kansas City and create it into this monument and create it into this team, this club that would have not been as successful and as important in general scales without him.
Other matchups last week, Toronto and Vancouver played for 90 minutes. If you watch it, you probably can't get that back in your lifetime. Colorado shut out Charlotte. Columbus beat DC. Messi and friends beat Philadelphia. Chicago only scored one against CF Montreal, which I thought was, substandard from them. Minnesota over RSL. Cincy beat Nashville. Purple team beat LAG. Paintsel was on the bench, so he's getting back to full song. San Diego and LAFC had the 5-goal thriller, and I think all 5 of those were in the first half. And San Jose and Seattle a 1-1 draw. First off, San Jose and Seattle a 1-1 draw. Your takeaways from that one?
Yes, the same issues remain, and I was relieved to see Brian Spencer at least make a change for the sake of the result of the match. Meaning, Jesus Ferreira was a dot at the 9 in this one. The first half was hard to watch for any Sounder fan at all. I thought that San Jose created more chances. They get ahead on the score. They honestly could have ended up getting a 2-0 lead in this one, because there was such a stagnant offense from a Sounders team that could not hit in transition, that Ferreira seemed to occupy the same spaces that others did, that you were not able to stretch out a poor, quite honestly, San Jose defense. But Brian makes a change, puts Masowski up top, brings back Ferrer a little bit, and Masowski, despite his own limitations and inability to score because he had a couple of clear chances in front of goal, to give him credit for the high rate of work, for the effort, for the pushing, the dirty work, if you will. I thought he did pretty decent. And Seattle, all of a sudden, in the second half, became alive. They created 20 shots. Of those, I think it was 8 on target. They were able to at least up their volume of opportunities, but it's still not good enough. And it feels like with Seattle, that's been the phrase that I most commonly use, is just not good enough. So a 1-1 draw, it's okay. It's on the road, so you add what you can. But to me, the performance for Seattle was just not good enough one more time. And in terms of San Jose, I feel like this is a team that needs one more piece, one more component to be a better, more balanced team, and specifically at midfield. I like Kay. I like what he does. But I feel like there has to be a more functional midfielder that can provide a little bit more of an 8 functionality for that San Jose team to do better. But in all sense, I think Seattle, at least with that second half, might be able to carry some of that momentum against this San Diego challenge that is going to be a lot harder than that San Jose game. But all in all, I wasn't surprised with the draw. I mentioned that here. San Jose has always been difficult for Seattle, and that's exactly what you got out of those 90 minutes.
All right, so since you mentioned San Diego, does their win over LAFC say more about them or LAFC?
No, I think it says more about them. Look, they took that game to LAFC, and I thought that from the very beginning, they dominated tempo, they dominated possession. They're the best possession team in the league. Dreyer can do so many different things for you. They're so dangerous on set pieces. Every set piece is designed. Every set piece is committed. It just seems like they work on their set pieces, their restarts so well that they really put LAFC against the ropes. Those 5 goals were all in the first half, but San Diego starts with all 3. Then LAFC gets a little bit of a response, and they're able to kind of get back into this game. But to me, San Diego dominated 70% of those 90 minutes, if not 75. Obviously, Igor Jesus gets a red card, and that gives San Diego the opportunity to get even higher upfield and pin back even farther a very deep block LAFC team. But I just really like what I see from this team. They know they know how they want to play. They have experience midfield. I thought that Godoy and De La Torre were both sensational. Trevor Verskov, I always chop up his name, but
Verskov, just slam it.
Verskov, the Danish midfielder, he's so good. He does so many things right. Simplicity in his game is the best attribute for this team, and they just seem to have it all together. Even Chucky Lozano came in late because he finally got on the bench, and he should have had at least 2 goals. So this team just has so many weapons, but their biggest edge on any team is how well they execute the game plan that's worked through the entirety of the week. You could just see it. What Miki Tavares wants is what Miki Tavares gets consistently, and that puts your floor so much higher. So this is a difficult team. Seattle's going to have their hands full for sure. But in this LAFC game, San Diego, I think it says more about how good San Diego is rather than the struggles that LAFC is having.
All right, so we'll hang on to San Diego, Seattle. By the way, in a rainstorm, Austin beat all caps, and Portland beat Houston. Getting into this week's activity, we'll save San Diego and Seattle. We'll save Atlanta and Dallas. We'll go through all the others, and if there's something you want to talk about, we'll stop. Charlotte and Nashville. Charlotte's at home at a -103. RSL at home against LAG, coming off of the midweek performances. RSL's a +110, favored understandably so. Crew in Montreal. Crew, and I've said this on the air, and I will continue to reinforce this to tell you, if Montreal beats Crew at a plus 569. I will drink Diet Mountain Dew on the air. Monday, if Montreal beats Crew, I'm drinking Diet Mountain Dew. That is what, and you'll see it. It's not just going to be in a cup where you sit there and go, "Is he really drinking it?" No, it'll be completely and totally advertised. Crew's a minus 238. Cincinnati minus 182 hosting the Revs. Red Bulls in Chicago. This one is actually interesting. Red Bulls a minus 137. Chicago threw up that clunker last week. They're a plus 366 on the road, plus 264 for the draw in that one.
What's the draw?
Plus 264.
Ooh, man. Ooh, I would love to take that win by Chicago, but if there's anything that Red Bulls does is give themselves a chance in every game. And Cornell has been fantastic. The defense has been really good. Chicago was not at their best last week, and you could see where Red Bulls could have a floor plan on how to work this game. That's why, to me, this is going to be a clear, not very high-scoring game. Might be a 1-1, might be a 0-0, but to me, that's for sure going to be a draw. However, it will be interesting how Greg Berhalter kind of figures out, coming from a bit of a clunker, the way you put it, and then maybe trying to figure some things out in nuisance of this game against the Red Bulls.
So just so you have the numbers, under 2.5 is a minus 105. Under 2 is a plus 193. 1.5 a plus 267 for the under. You're sticking with the draw. I know you.
I'm sticking with the draw. Yeah, it's a little too risky there for me. No, I like the draw just as is.
I heard that thought come out of your mouth, and I'm like, yeah, he's sticking with just the draw. Philly at home's favored against the purple team. Austin at home a minus 130 hosting Portland. Houston, and keep an eye on Ben Olsen, favored at home against LAFC. Once again, coming out of midweek play, they're at a plus 141. Sporting in all caps. Sporting's a plus 120 with Kerry Zavagnin. New coach bump, I guess. I don't know. Plus 120. I'm not touching that one because I got too many questions. Vancouver and Colorado. Vancouver favored after having played Pumas last night. They're favored at home with Colorado coming to Vancouver at a plus 350. New York City hosting Minnesota, favored, and I guess they're going to play on that U12 pitch in the Bronx. I got to look.
You said Colorado is
plus 350.
I like that. Look, I love what Vancouver is doing, but I think that they were challenged to a whole new level against Pumas. They should have won that game, by the way. I got to give them all of the credit, even to the very last minute. That ball by Ocampo there in the 94th minute for that header should have put it away for Vancouver. Unfortunately, they're unable to do it. Both goals came up with set pieces. I get that. And it probably wasn't the most brilliant soccer offensive game that you could see. But the physicality, everything about that game, I feel like drained that Vancouver team. That depth is not their forte. Colorado, on the other hand, coming from a very good 2-0 win over Charlotte, a very good Charlotte team. Jordi Mihalovic starting to look like the former candidate for MVP of the MLS. I think that he is a guy that is really putting things together. So I like Navajo. Give me Colorado in this one. I'm actually going to put it down. I like Colorado.
Plus 350. NYC favored at home against Minnesota United. San Jose at home favored against DC United, and Inter Miami's a minus 238 as Toronto comes to visit for Sunday Night Soccer at a plus 562. All right, two left. San Diego and Seattle. San Diego at home a plus 125, hosting Seattle, plus 233 for the draw. Seattle a plus 209. What say you?
That's a tough one. Quite honestly, being a betting man, I would definitely put some money on the draw, but I would not be surprised if San Diego wins this game. I think San Diego can really take the ball away from Seattle. I feel like Seattle's had a hard time when they cannot dictate possession. You saw it at Cruz Azul. You've seen it whenever this team is unable to get that ball back, and San Diego's just better at it. That 4-3-3 has worked so well for San Diego, and I don't know if Seattle matches up well, specifically in some of those half spaces. So I'm going to go ahead and take San Diego. I'm going to take the draw, but I'm saying that I wouldn't be surprised if San Diego won this game. I wouldn't take Seattle's win, to be honest. But the best result that Seattle can come up with out of this one, to me, is a draw. San Diego's had issues at home. They finally won against LAFC, so maybe that is something to look at. But I just haven't seen enough from Seattle. Obviously, Ryan Kent's not playing in this one. And Pedro de la Vega and Jordan Morris both are full on at practice this week, but I do not expect either one of them to play this game. So between the injuries and how good San Diego has been, I'll probably go with the draw.
All right, so then that lays out the last matchup to talk about. Lucho and FC Dallas coming to Atlanta. Atlanta minus 143, draws a plus 300. FC Dallas is a plus 342. Lucho has always been a constant pain in the you-know-what for Atlanta. Atlanta favored big at home on Saturday night.
I'm taking Atlanta again, and they did not let me down, although they just wanted me to just have an awful Saturday, and they just giving up goals, gifting goals right and left. If Atlanta could just figure out their defense and figure out how not to just gift goals, they're going to be such a good team, man. Such a good team. Love what Almiron did after a phenomenal CONMEBOL FIFA window there with Paraguay. Marinchuk had a very good game. Latelat is dangerous. Maybe not the whole game, but you know that he's going to have a moment. Every single game he will have a moment. And he had one here. So give me Atlanta. I think FC Dallas has issues of their own. They're such a slow-paced team. And if something that Atlanta has struggled with is a little bit of the direct play and the good pressure, I don't think Dallas could do either. And therefore, I'm going to go ahead and take Atlanta.
All right, so hit me with the promo. What's going on in your part of the world?
All right. So as always, tomorrow, what we learned this week with Jeremiah, we're gonna take a deep dive into what we've seen. We've made the effort every day to come in and have our binoculars on Ryan Kent. So we have a big breakdown of what we've seen, the attributes, where he can play, what does that mean for the rest of the lineup, how quickly we can get him back. There is a possibility that because of the P1 visa, I was thinking about a month, but Craig Weibel says that maybe it could be 2 to 3 weeks. I don't know how positive he's being, and maybe obviously trying to get his guy in. He said they were going to be on the phones, though, trying to get that through. So go ahead and check that out tomorrow. We'll have any updates that we do have by the time we record. Then, of course, on Monday, Labin Scorchers kickoff, where we'll break down the entirety of the week. We'll focus, of course, on that San Diego Sounders game. Depending on what that leaves us, it might be a really good pot, might be a difficult one, but we're always going to bring it. We're going to be very serious. You know me. I tell it how it is. So go ahead and check that out on Monday. And, of course, go to Pulse Sports, where we have Ryan Kent's entire interview, Craig Weibel's entire interview. Check that out if you want to see it. Worth checking out. I got to say one thing about Ryan Kent's comment that I love. I can't do English voice, so I'm not going to try the accent, but he said, I love to lift bums of seats. So he likes to get the crowd going. He was talking about his ability to just take on players and just create that effect of getting people out of their chairs. But love that statement by Ryan Kent. Go check that out on Pulse Sports. Worth checking out.
He likes to lift bums out of seats.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Something like that.
So,
I got too much of a Latino accent, so I can't do it.
It's all good, brother. Love you very much. Be safe. Have a great weekend. We'll catch up with you next week.
All right, my friend. Have a good one.
There goes Niko Moreno, Pulso Sports, and lobbing water balloons and scorchers and everything else. And so he's going to finish his coffee, maybe get in a nap, and then head over to Providence in Swedish and find out what's going on with Seattle and new signings and all that stuff. Okay, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, plus gossip, rumor, and innuendo. We're out the door. And then remember, 2 channels up and running, SDH1 and SDH2, with the high school action today. It is Jason and Maddie and Sophia down in Sharpsburg for Dutchtown and Trinity Christian. I will be in Decula for Toombs County and for Hebron Christian, boys and girls. So 5:30, 7:30, 6 and 8, set your notifications on soccerdownhere.mixlr.com or soccerdownhere and the number 2.mixlr.com. Set your notifications for both and go back and forth between games. Also go to soccerdownhere.net, hit the listen tab. When something's live, there's like a flashing red light. You hit whichever one is there, then you can go and listen to whatever you want to listen to. But we'd also like you to download the Mixlr app and follow Soccer Down Here in SDH2. So two locations, SDH 1 and 2 up this afternoon and tonight for matchups in high school soccer, presented as always by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Tomorrow it's going to be obviously the weekend street fight and the weekend whip around in hour number 2. We'll get you ready for Atlanta and for Dallas. If you missed the interview that we had with Ryan Figert, play-by-play voice for FCD, you can go back and listen to that on your favorite audio platform or go back and watch the show yesterday, and he was in the last half hour, so you can catch up with your FCD intel there going forward. And so tomorrow is also Marist and Pius. We'll have that on the network as well, and then we'll line up our stuff for next week. All right, so gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Now, it's with the season winding down overseas, 7-8 matches to go. Arsenal are stepping up pursuits and trying to grab folks. As are a lot of folks. Andrea Berta met with Athletic Bilbao's Niko Williams' agent in recent days to discuss a summer move. Pep Guardiola and Roberto De Zerbi being considered as candidates by AC Milan. That's from Corriere della Sera. Liverpool and Chelsea want to sign Dean Houston this summer, but will face competition from Real Madrid for the £50 million rated international. Mo Salah set to extend his contract with Liverpool, according to Foot Mercato. United, Liverpool, Newcastle showing interest in Como's 19-year-old Senegalese winger Asani Diao. Liverpool's Ben Doak, who's on loan at Middlesbrough, could move to Everton in a £30 million deal. That's interesting. So you go from Merseyside red to Merseyside blue. Arsenal, Liverpool, and Forest interested in Algeria striker Mohamed Amoura, who is currently on loan at Wolfsburg from Union Saint-Gilloise. Juve want to bring in Sandro Tonali, with him valued at £70 million. Newcastle also will renew their interest in Mark Gahey in the summer. Liverpool have been in contact with reps of Japanese winger Takefusa Kubo, who could make a summer move if Real Sociedad failed to qualify for Europe. And Aston Villa are hoping to tie France midfielder Boubacar Kamara to a historic, in quotation marks, new contract to fend off interest in the summer. That's also from our friends at Foot Mercato. Also on the board, once again, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. You've got, obviously, the matchup in Chelsea and Spurs in the Premier League. BNB en Español, simulcasting, Sporting Cristal Palmeiras, Deportivo Táchira Flamengo in Libertadores. Sudamericana is tonight. Mushugruna and Palestino at 10, and Natasha de Portugal, Sporting in Rio Ave is at 3:15. You can once again get TIC, Nuestra Tele, For the Fans, CDO, Gold TV with our buddy Nico Moreno, all the BNs, Liga 1 and Liga 1 Max Pro at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. And also, if you go on to the 280 character app, they're also running a 25% off special. Fox Deportes has a Honduran League, Olancho and Olimpia. Peacock is Chelsea and Spurs, as is and the Super League with Spokane and Brooklyn tonight at 9. CONCACAF U17 qualifiers on Fox Soccer Plus, Nicaragua, Puerto Rico, Panama, and Canada at 5 and 8. And also Peacock, once again, Super League with Spokane and Brooklyn at 9 o'clock tonight. Now, that's about it for a show. That's a lot. Thanks to Daniel Sperry, who is with a new addition to the family. And hopefully he'll get a nap at some point. I think that's probably going to come in the year 2044. But anyway, congratulations to Daniel, and thanks for coming on this morning to talk about things Peter Vermes. Then, once again, as always, thanks to our buddy Nino Torres to let us know what's going on in Copa Libertadores, what's going on in Portugal, what else is going on in his environs, and our buddy Nico Moreno there from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart to let you know what's going on from a Pacific perspective about everything going on in Major League Soccer. That's it for another go-round. We'll be back at it again in a little less than 22. So you know what that means. Mucha Platial, play it safe. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the games today, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. On the high school side, go see a high school game. Go see the playoffs. Got a couple weeks left in the regular season. Games that matter to a lot of folks in a lot of different places. Go if you've got the time. And you've got the chance to go do it, go see it. Go see a local team, or don't go see a local team. Go see somebody far away and see what the high school game means to a lot of folks here in the SDH family and the SDH footprint. So since it's the end of the show, mucho platiel, play it safe. That means I get to do this. Back at it again, less than 22 for SDH AM. Back at it later this afternoon on the Mixlr app and Soccer Down Here and Soccer Down Here 2.mixlr.com with high school stuff. Play it safe, everybody. We'll see you later today.